The command bridge of the exploration vessel Boundless Curiosity fell silent as Captain Vex Norin reviewed the navigational data for the third time. His four eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme agitation among the Trillari. "There must be some mistake," he said finally, his voice a harmonious blend of tones typical of his species. "These coordinates would take us directly into Interdiction Zone 7. Science Officer Mira Dax approached the central holographic display, her slender form gliding across the deck. "There is no mistake, Captain. The transmission originated from deep within the Milky Way galaxy, the Milky Way. For over 10,000 cycles, the spiral galaxy had been designated as strictly off-limits by the Galactic Concord, a coalition of 27 spacefaring civilizations spanning 3 neighboring galaxies. The official records simply stated, 'Quarantine established following Resolution 359. No contact permitted.' What Resolution 359 actually entailed was known only to the highest echelons of Concord leadership. The common assumption was that the galaxy contains some form of contagion, a dangerous predatory species, or unstable cosmic phenomena." First Officer Trell Corvin cleared his throat, the red bioluminescent patches on his neck pulsing with concern. "Captain, we should report this back to Concord Command. Investigating a signal from the interdiction zone exceeds our authority." Norin's outer eyelids narrowed. Throughout his 3-century career, he had built a reputation for strict adherence to protocol. Yet something about this transmission nagged at him, a simple, repeating mathematical sequence broadcast on frequencies that suggested deliberate intent rather than natural phenomena. Protocol would indeed dictate immediate reporting, he agreed, touching the communication console. Then he paused. "However, our transmission relay was damaged in the cosmic storm we encountered 2 cycles ago. Any message to command would take approximately 30 days to reach the nearest relay station." Mira's eyes widened slightly. The captain was technically correct. Their long-range communication system had sustained minor damage, but it was functional enough for emergency transmissions. "We are, however, only 6 days from the outer boundary of the Milky Way," Norin continued, his voice carefully neutral. "We could conduct a preliminary investigation from a safe distance. Purely scientific, of course." The bridge crew exchanged glances. What the captain was suggesting pushed the boundaries of their mission parameters, but didn't explicitly violate them. "Purely scientific," Mira echoed, a faint smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Like many Trillari scientists, curiosity was practically encoded in her genetic makeup. 3 days later, the Boundless Curiosity hovered at the very edge of the Milky Way, advanced sensors directed toward a small, unremarkable yellow star in the Orion Arm, the source of the transmission. "Preliminary scans indicate a planetary system with 8 major bodies," Mira reported, excitement barely contained in her voice. "The third planet shows signs of a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, liquid water oceans, and extensive artificial structures." Norin stood behind her, peering at the data streams. "A technological civilization?" "Undoubtedly," she confirmed. "And Captain, they're broadcasting, constantly. Thousands of different signals across the electromagnetic spectrum. Music, mathematics, stories. They're practically screaming their presence to the universe." First Officer Corvin looked deeply uncomfortable, which means the Concord must be aware of them. "Yet the quarantine remains in place. We should withdraw immediately." For the first time in his career, Captain Norin made a decision that directly contravened Concord regulations. "We'll send a single probe, passive observation only, no contact." The probe's data began streaming back 12 hours later. The bridge crew gathered around the main display in stunned silence as images of the third planet's dominant species appeared before them. "They're bipedal," Mira noted clinically, though her voice contained an undercurrent of fascination. "Endoskeletal, primarily water-based biology, carbon-based life forms, similar to several conquered species in basic morphology." "What's remarkable isn't their biology," said Communications Officer Lauren Veda, "but their development pattern. According to these historical records we've intercepted, they progressed from primitive agriculture to rudimentary spaceflight in less than 10,000 years." Corvin's bioluminescent patches flashed with alarm. That's unprecedented, Norin finished. The average technological development curve from known spacefaring species is approximately 50,000 years from agricultural development to orbital capabilities. The data continued pouring in, painting a picture of a species that defied conventional understanding. Humans, they called themselves. They had split the atom less than a century after discovering electricity. They had walked on their moon using technology that, by conquered standards, was laughably primitive, essentially controlled explosions pushing metal containers through space. They should have destroyed themselves dozens of times over, Nero whispered as they reviewed the species' violent history. Nuclear standoffs, environmental degradation, resource depletion, yet they always pull back from the edge. Perhaps that's why the quarantine exists, Corvin suggested. They're too unpredictable, too dangerous. But Captain Norin was studying a different data set. Human cultural transmissions, art, music, literature, philosophy. The sheer diversity was staggering. Most unified species developed relatively homogeneous cultures over time. Humans seemed to revel in their differences, producing wildly varying interpretations of existence. I don't believe that's it, Norin said slowly. I think the Conquered fears them for a different reason. The probe had intercepted something else, evidence of a Concord observation post hidden in the system's outer reaches. The post had been monitoring Earth for at least 3,000 years. They're studying them, Vera realized. The Concord isn't keeping humanity quarantined to protect the galaxy from them. They're protecting humans from us, Norin concluded. Or more accurately, they're keeping them as a controlled experiment, a species developing in isolation, unburdened by the standardized development protocols the Concord implements on emerging civilizations. The implications were staggering. The Concord presented itself as a benevolent coalition, guiding younger species towards stable interstellar societies. But if they were deliberately keeping humanity isolated to study their development, we need to make a decision, Corvin said quietly. Report back as regulations require, or... Captain Norin stared at the blue-green world displayed before them. In less than a century, humans had gone from their first powered flight to sending robotic explorers beyond their solar system. What might they achieve in another 100 years? 1,000? Set course for Earth, he said finally. It's time the experiment ended. The galaxy deserves to meet humanity, and humanity deserves to know they're not alone. As the boundless curiosity moved deeper into the forbidden galaxy, none of its crew could predict how this violation of the galaxy's oldest prohibition would reshape the very foundation of interstellar society. The Milky Way had been off-limits for a reason, and breaking that rule was about to unleash humanity upon an unsuspecting universe.